Good morning, everybody. Something a little different today. We're not going to have to throw up a timer today, because we're not going to be timing this. We're going to be doing a lot of talking. So, Crystalis Randomizer. I love this random. We're doing something very special today. This is a beginner's guide, more than anything. We're going to explain how to every area, every check, and every trigger that I know of, which means I will probably be asking someone later for how to explain exactly how to do all of the Queen stuff, but we do actually tend to do a bunch of glitches. So, let me explain what we've got on this seed real quick, though. So, our flag string today is specialty. Is something I've designed to explain everything in a order that makes sense. So, we have no randomization on walls or monsters or the fortress. Our big changes from the vanilla game are story mode is on, so we will be fighting everything, which is fair because I'm going to be doing everything. Orbs are not required to break walls. That is in order to make it so I mostly save time. I can charge up less. The Sword of Thunder will not warp us, so it means we will not be warped away from wherever we're at and interrupt whatever we're doing when we get Sword of Thunder. No glitches are in logic, but I do have a few active and that I can make use of. The statue glitch, Mount Saber requirement skip, statue gauntlet skip, and sword charge glitch, most of which are just for my own convenience. I'll explain how to do every glitch any glitch that I use, because they tend to be important for us to know about. And then I've also made sure to guarantee a starting sword, just so I don't have to deal with a lot of things. And vanilla shops are on, so I can explain shop glitch for those times it's on. We don't use the vanilla shop saying often, but it's a favorite of mine, so I want to have it. It's mostly to enable me to carry a bunch of medical herbs and warp boots. So, first off, let me begin with, when you hit start, you want to hold down. You'll skip the opening cutscene. Because if you don't hit start, if you don't do that, the 15-second cutscene plays. According to Metric, is 15.2 seconds long. To show you what I mean, if you don't hold down going out, this happens. You come out of cryo tube. Also, I'm playing as Messia because I like to. So, first town, you have Leaf. When nothing is shuffled, there are two checks here. You have Zebu's Student, and you have the Leaf Elder. Sword of Fire, okay. Alright, worth noting, when you're with our common things, no Crystalis Rando for quality of life, we do have warp start is start AB, which will warp you back to the cryotube here. And select plus B will cycle through whatever swords you have. At this point I only have the one. Also worth noting is you have one... Damn it. Okay. Okay. You have one item shop, one inn in basically every town. When you're playing the rando, one common thing that we have enabled is... Well, first off, let me back that up a second. Zebu Student and Leaf Elder are also important as a trigger for talking to Zebu. Zebu does not spawn until you have talked to both the Leaf Elder and Zebu Student. Because we have access to Brynmire, I will also... when you break the wall, there is a trigger right about here, which changes Zebu's statement to say, Windows Phil Sorrow, return to Leaf soon. This is after you've talked to him for the first time, which that trigger spawns the Windmill Guard in Windmill Cave. The second trigger I talked about with the behind the wall triggers the Leaf Kidnapping, which one downside for this is... Oh, the shops are still here. I forget that's the case if the shops are still here. But the Leaf Kidnapping, which is part of the Mount Saber North requirements. So, when you're playing the randomizer, one thing you'll see us do a lot is enter a cave and leave a cave. That will create a checkpoint for saving. And this is what we call the Game Boy Color cave. This cave is not in vanilla NES Crystalis, but it is added to the randomizer just to add more variety to routing. It's one of the settings you can use the vanilla map setting to turn it off. So, the cave has a couple of dead ends, like these first two middle platforms are dead end paths, so you don't want to go down them. And then you come to this fork. Going north takes you to an open exit, going south takes you to a closed exit and to treasure. It is closed by a wall, which in vanilla is a wind wall. Worth noting, I have added the vanilla walls to the list, to the tracker. Yeah, but there are two chests down here, so oftentimes we will go down here first. One of them is up here in the top right of this floor. The other one is in the top left of this floor. And there is a exit in the bottom left of this floor. We picked up an antidote. Let's make use of that. In the bottom left of this floor, there is a wall. The other side of this wall is an exit to Game Boy Color Cave. So, oftentimes we will pick up the wall, pick up the checks in there, check the wall, which we often play with a randomized wall setting. In this one, we are not. And then we'll often wild warp back out and go back to the cave. Then that leads you to having to leave out the other end of GBC Cave, although in this seed we do have access to the Brynmire exit of Zebu's Cave. However, the GBC Cave leads to one of 4 locations. This is the Sahara exit, but with the other options being Cordell Plains, which is in the bottom right of the second area, the Brynmire and Oak map. The Lime Valley next to Rage's exit, and Goa in the northwest of the map. I will show each area as it becomes applicable, but this was the Sahara one. We have access to This enemy layout's terrible. Holy crap. Anyways, the Sahara doesn't give us a lot to work with. I don't know if you can steal anything from the shop. You cannot. Okay. So, Sahara does not give us a lot to work with without more items. But it's good to have access to that warp point for later. So, this exact seed, the progression is to go to Zebu's Cave. So, Zebu's Cave, the front area is a checkpoint, so you do not need to set a checkpoint going into this cave. The back area, you'll want to go back in and out for a checkpoint, especially with my health value right now. But there is a checkpoint here, and this cave leads to Mount Saber West, or Saber South, depends on who you ask and the time of day. But Mount Saber. I will cover Mount Saber in a bit. But Mount Saber does have some items. I'm going to make use of one of those items. Because we're going to be getting Bryn Mawr, where I'll be using as a resource hub for a bit. I have, like, nothing to kill for, experience. Alright. Trying to make experience so I can get levels and be stronger. Bryn Mawr. Bryn Mawr has one notable check of importance. There's also, as some people will remind me, a pub over here with an NPC by the name of Ski Free. Ski Free knows how to get rich quick, and he runs off. I don't know why I'm explaining the meme, but I am. The important things to note are you have a shop here, which in vanilla has an open slot, so we can steal things. Like the resources I'm going to use for this seed. But the important thing to note is Akahana, who has dropped an unusual statue in vanilla, which is the Statue of Onyx. If you talk to him, he will tell you what he gives you. To my knowledge, the options in randomized trade-ins are unusual statue for Statue of Onyx, exotic statue for Statue of Ivory, the Ivory statue, a fragrant plant for the Carissa plant, a beautiful pendant, I believe, for Love Pendant, and a brilliant lamp for the Fog lamp. Given this is vanilla trade-ins, it is the Statue of Onyx, and thus an unusual statue. At the moment, the only other check we have available is either on Mount Saber or this check here, which is the patch of grass in Cordell Plains, commonly known as the Caledon spot. You have the alarm flute here. Interesting. So, the alarm flute has a use elsewhere. We're going to go follow that once in a moment. But, worth noting, the cave here is the Windmill Cave. It only opens after you've triggered the windmill opening from the front. And off to the north, you have Storm's Hut. Tornell's house. Storm's Hut. There's a couple of different names for it. I call it Storm's house. This is where the Storm fight happens, but in order to trigger it, you need to go to Oak. And to get to Oak, you need the hazmat suit, or gas mask. So, until then, we can't do anything there. We do have access to Mount Saber North, but I'm going to start with explaining the other thing. So, earlier we triggered the Zebu's Cave. We talked to Zebu, we triggered the Leaf Kidnapping. The first part of Zebu is the trigger for spawning this windmill guard up here. This windmill guard is a check. He's asleep. you use the alarm flute. And he gives you an item, in this case, the hazmat suit. So, the hazmat suit is the gas mask from vanilla. I'm going to need more warp boots with the chain we're about to take. The hazmat suit is what you need to get into the swamp. The swamp is off the eastern end of this map. Worth noting, if there is a exit to GBC Cave in Brynmire, it would be down here. And then you have the swamp. The swamp, the first noble thing is the path you need to take to get through the swamp to get to town is, let me reset so I can go through it carefully. You cross the first exit, you cross the second path here, and you take the third path and go north. And you go all the way north. We'll explain more about the swamp later. So, for the record, for shop glitch, if you are buying things with the shop, if you have to have the shop glitch enabled, you start on the price you want, which in this case is 0, and you, as quickly as possible, same frame, close to the same frames, you hit A and the direction, and it will trick the game into selling you the item you've moved to for the price you moved from. We have hazmat suit. Anyways, Stom fight. I will show you the vanilla, and then I will reload and show you the way most of us will do it. So this is where I will show you first the save menu. You hit start from the select menu. The select menu is the inventory menu. You hit start, and you have 2 slots to save in. I will save here. And you have the Stom fight. Tornell tells you to defeat Stom. And the first couple times, Stom tells you that the Stom fight, if you try to do a Stom fight, he is too strong and he will push you back the first 2 times. The Task can do it on the first try with movement, but I'm not a Task. Most people will say the 3rd and 4th are where you want to be for actually find Stom. I prefer the 4th, it's a little faster. And the Stom fight, you push him up to the back wall, and you will be given an item. I'm going to reload. The other way we tend to do it, which is faster than staying through all the fights, is if you use a pair of warp boots after the fight begins, you can teleport to a town. Most people will use Leaf because it has the right Y position to use having gone far enough north, and trick the game thinking you won the fight. And he will give you an item. In this case, he's giving me teleport, which teleport's too expensive to make use of consistent use of right now. I will use teleport to go back to Brynmire mostly right now. And the other thing it will do, Tornell teaches you the spell, which gives you an item, and he will also tell you which bracelet he wants on top of Mount Saber West. In this case, I knew it was the vanilla one, the tornado bracelet, but the information is still important. Until I have more MP, we're going to keep stealing more boots. So, I'm going to do Mount Saber West still, even though we just got access to Mount Saber North, in logic. So, Mount Saber North. On the exterior has these slopes. This slope is important to know about. This slope leads to the tornado bracelet spot. If you have flight, you can use this slope to go halfway up the mountain. The important thing for navigating Mount Saber North, Mount Saber West, is this cave in the bottom of the slope. Which are you? Paralysis. Paralysis is bad, for the record. So, paralysis makes it so you cannot charge your sword. So, for the most part, that is extremely and utterly inconvenient to playing this game. Which is why we set checkpoints, as I've spent a walk I just had to take from Bryn Mawr. Anyways, Mount Saber West. When you're navigating Mount Saber West, you want to go through the bottom cave. I am just taking time to get my level. We're level 2, so we're not going to tango with these paralyzing spiders. I would like to get full health. Tornado soldiers are exceptionally dangerous. They hit very hard and are very, very durable. The first check in Mount Saber West is over here through the left wall. The insect loot. We'll cover that in a minute. The path to go through Mount Saber West. We want to charge up a sword here. And we do not want to get paralyzed. But the path goes through this right wall. I said I didn't want to get paralyzed. An orb of wind is an excellent find. We're going to see if I can find an enemy to clear the paralysis with. We have 3 floors of enemies. The ideal thing to find right now would be a Medusa. Tarantulas. Alright, the other 2 checks are through this wall. I am paralyzed. We have enough health. I can actually get poisoned off of this spider. So you can only have one status effect. Learning your enemies to know what can inflict different status effects is good. Those tarantulas can inflict poison. Poison is really slow acting, but it only goes away when you use an antidote or use an in or clear status. And you have a tornado bracelet right here. Okay. The other checks in this were at the... So we had the 2 checks we got on the bottom half, 1 behind each wall. Then you climb through the path and find this chest up here. And Tornell, who gives you a check when you have the tornado bracelet or whatever bracelet it randomizes into. So, the other thing of note I will show about Mount Saber. The path I went through is the commonly accepted way to go through Mount Saber. Worth noting, I'm going to be killing enemies as I can. But Mount Saber, the other thing of note for Mount Saber walls is this wall. This wall leads to spider hitboxes, please. This wall leads to the upper level of Mount Saber West, where you can get to this slope. This is the slope that I pointed out earlier, which leads to this wall. So, with the insect flute, we can do that. I'm going to hold off until I get telepathy for now. And we're going to go buy a bunch of things to refill our inventory. And by buy, I mean steal. That one did not trigger a steal. Okay. We want 2 more. Mount Saber. So Saber North is all the way over here. I should have walked to Oak. That is the faster way on foot. When you don't have teleport, you'll be stopped here. But I have teleport. And then, if you don't trigger leaf kidnapping, there's a trigger block here. And it will force you back until you talk to the rabbit. Oh. I did not talk to the rabbit. So, this trigger block wants you to go back to Leaf and talk to the rabbit for leaf kidnapping. I'm going to leave a save here. Because that actually gives me a chance to explain the... Oh, we don't have telepathy. So, telepathy's on the insect. However, worth noting, with the glitch enabled, that we commonly leave enabled, although current term does not have it, you can line up between the trigger boxes and walk in and out, but you'll notice that on this side there's a trigger box, and on this side there's a trigger box. But we can walk through the trigger box. I'm going to go grab the teleport point, and then we will explain everything from there. The trigger point, the teleport point is Nadara's, but the logic is actually we want to go fight the insect. So, Oak Swamp, the insect. The insect from the town why am I fighting everything? You go down, I want to say it was, you go down 1, 2, 3, the first right, and then go all the way to the right, which has a corner, and go all the way up to this clearing. And I'll stand like right here and play the flute, which will spawn the insect. The insect is weak to at least fire in vanilla. And we'll shoot these projectiles at you. This mosquito is the most lethal thing in the fight. You might notice it just did nearly 1/3 of my health. But the fight overall is simple. Shoot a bunch of projectiles at the insect to get your telepathy spell. Worth noting, that lets you actually trigger the event in Leaf to talk to this rabbit, who will tell you some evil people attacked and took everyone away. I will show you very shortly. I would actually like to have more warp boots for this. So, Warp boots. The other thing the thing telepathy does here is lets us talk to the Oak Mother, who tells you she hasn't seen her boy. This is another case of I'm going to save. One notable thing the insect did that a lot of people don't realize because of the ordering it tends to be done in, the Oak Elder here will give you an item. That is actually important, but I will talk about in a minute. But the other way you can trigger it is by saving the child. So, like we were going to the insect, but this time at the first down, we go all the way down. And the child is down here. You can either walk the path back, or warp to Oak. And the child walks into the house. You can reset after landing and skip cutscene. And the child walks in here, and she will give you an item, and that will also trigger talking to the Elder. That got us the eyeglasses, which are important for later, and the Bow of Moon, one of the 3 bows you need to finish the game. Alright, Nadara's, which is the inn at the bottom here. So, money. One thing to note is we have located Ski Free. Ski Free is here taking a nap. We're not going to talk to him because he's taking a nap. It's absolutely not that we don't want him to actually die. These guards are annoying. So I try to force them to the left if I don't have a jump ability. I took 1 hit, by the way, and I did nearly half my HP. Mount Saber North, you have the path I just took through the first room. To the left, you have an item here. And that is the barrier spell. I believe it had to show up soon, although we also don't have the Sword of Wind to fight Kelbesk with. And then you go out that bottom exit from there. That takes you to this ledge where you go through this door. Warlocks! Warlocks are hyper dangerous. So I'm going to waste as little time as possible in this room. You go through, take the first right. There's a wall there. And you go up these stairs. I don't have another sword. Medusas are a very good experience. There's this, after that first stairway from the Warlock room we were just in, you have this room where you go, you pass the stairway, and there's a sword chest here, which this has a sword. There is no warp on this sword. Oftentimes this sword will warp you away. Sword change, select and B. And I'm going to kill a bunch of Medusas, because yes please. Like, this is actually a great amount of experience you can get here. But then you go out that north exit. That takes you to this wall, where you go through this hallway. Zombies are actually quite durable. Worth noting, but so it's often not worth fighting them unless you can pin them very hard or have an upgraded sword. But that wall, this path takes you to a second wall where you want to go north. This takes you to a stairway. That goes around and outside. We only have one check we can get left because we do not have Sword of Wind to fight Kalbask. I'm going to switch the sword. There are 2 walls here in this room. Worth noting, I'm going to set a checkpoint and explain that. So the room with the prisoners there is a checkpoint, which is why we're going to reset. We're going to go out here so I can explain real quick. Above all else, after this X over here, you do not want to go down this ledge. That goes back to Nadaras. But the only other item we can get is back here. And this is the key for spot. It's the Sword of Wind for Kalbask. Okay. Okay, game. Funny. So we have a Sword of Wind. We can access the East Cave exit. But it's also a level 3 Sword of Wind. The game thinks we can kill Kalbask right now. We're going to try and kill Kalbask. So Kalbask is after the checkpoint room. You go north. I'm going to kill these 2 zombies for a level. You go north, you go through this hallway, and that puts you on this upper ledge. Dropping down takes you back to the middle ledge from earlier. And that takes you to Kalbask. Vanilla Kalbask is weak to wind. I'm going to give this fight no slack, because this is one of the most dangerous fights in the game. We call him General Linebacker for a reason. He will not give you space to work. So, worth knowing, this is the door for the key to prison, and when you fight a boss, you want to pick up the chest, or else it will not count. Really? You want to pick up the chest, or warping out will cause the boss to respawn. Why are there 3 swords on Mount Saber North? Okay, so I'm going to start with the Sword of Water check that we can do real quick. Bryn Mawr. First off, there is an inn over here. It costs like 20 bucks. Well, the Sword of Water allows you to freeze ice bridges. One notable one. The only one we can get to on the Bryn Mawr map is right here. Which takes you to Amazonas. Amazonas has one notable house. It is this one. You need paralysis if you don't have the statue glitch enabled. I will demonstrate paralysis later, but the statue glitch. Walk into an enemy from the right, hold down right, and trigger the talk box to force you back. This is because NPCs try to force you away from them in the direction you're facing. Since we're facing down left, the game tries to force us up and right, which triggers us to be pushed into the doorway. This is Queen Aurelius. Queen Aurelius has a turn-in item. However, we can't find out what it is with the hint until we have change. But we can also go to her basement and pick up an item. This is a Sacred Shield. It's a shield. This shield blocks the slime status. The Sword of Wind, in this case, opens up the GBC cave exit. We're going to go follow it. is also now our strongest sword. Flail guys are weak to water and thunder, or are these flail knights? I don't remember. All I remember is GB's Cave is mostly a bunch of enemies that we couldn't really kill. And in the case of this floor, it was skeletons, who we don't want to fight. So, skeletons are weak to one element, and they collapse every hit you give them, unless you paralyze them. But yeah, the Sword of Wind, in this case, gets you out this door, and this is Goa Plains. So, that gives me access to a bunch of new things to talk about. You have access to Goa, with which there is a statue gauntlet here. I'll explain that later. Because before I go up there, I want to trigger a different flag. And this is Akahana's friend, commonly referred to in the community as Bro Kahana. Goa Plains, you have an exit over here to the right. This exit is the least useful to us. We will clear paralysis in just a minute. Because if we don't have change, the guards will not let us through. You have an exit to the south, which leads to the desert. And the desert has one exit of note that we can get to, which is the Oasis Cave, which I'm going to cover not yet. The important exit for us to cover right now is Mount Hydra, which is this purple mountain off to the left. Mount Hydra has two notable paths at the moment. The one we care about is to the left at the moment, which it has a water bridge to make, and that leads to Chiron. Once again, I'm going to ignore the logic a second to... This is that statue glitch I was talking about earlier, and I have the warp point to there for later. The vanilla intended way is to use the change spell and turn to either Akahana or Stom to walk through the gate. Almost nobody follows change logic for intended change logic. In fact, we usually have statue glitch in logic. But nobody follows that in the community, in the racing scene. Anyways, Mount Hydra, there's an item on this ledge over here. And then you go out to this path here. You follow it around to a ice bridge. And there are two paths. To the left leads to the Styxy Gate, and to the right leads to more items. Going right in this cave takes you to a cave. A wall. Which leads to a stairway here. Heavy Theater. There's bow here. Okay. Again, bows are important for the end game. I'm going to interrupt my trip through Hydra. I am out of resources and almost dead. So, real quick. We tend to play with a randomized shop setting. Which disables the shop glitch. But I chose settings. I'm showing them off to have this. I'm having this easily obtainable resources as a freebie. We're going to cover this place in a minute. I'm actually going to make one stop, though. This armor shop in Chiron, in Vanilla, has an output slot and strong armor. So, we're going to backtrack up the mountain, because I want to cover the mountain. And also, I think this is the last location logically accessible. Oh, no, we have a few checks in the Oasis Cave. So, we covered that right path through this cave up here leads to that item, which I believe is sometimes referred to as the Gozen Ledge, named after Gozen Gata. Anytime we have a spot that's named after somebody, it probably means they forgot it in a race. The community likes to do that to races, so to spots. That is a mimic, and this item is accessible without access to walls, so only Sword of Water blocks that check. And then this stairway leads to this room, which has a wall, which leads to this room, with a wall, which leads to this chest here, which has an iron necklace. There's also a chest out here, worth noting, blocked by flight. So the logic expects us to go to Oasis Cave, which I will cover now. The Oasis Cave. This is a confusing cave. Worth noting, if you don't have the hazmat suit, you can actually get here without taking damage by following this trail all the way around to this spot. The Oasis Cave. You enter here and you go into this entrance. This first room is a checkpoint. So worth noting, there is a check down here, which we'll cover in just a minute. And there is an ice bridge here. But when you're on foot, you want to grab this check up here first. There's one item right here. And then back to that ice bridge we were talking about. For how big this cave is, I got lost forever when I first started, because we didn't have a resource like this, which is what kind of why I want to make this. But there's an ice bridge here. From here, you want to go down. And just follow this path to the end, which takes you to that check we saw earlier. This is a mimic. Mimics are worth a lot of money. After that check, you want to pick up not the first ice bridge. You want to go back to where you came in and take the second ice bridge from going north from the chest, which takes you to this corner. There's an ice bridge here. And there is an ice bridge here. Worth noting, there is a check down here. There's a check right up here, blocked by flight. That is called the Battle Armor Chest. and it is worth noting that we cannot get it without flight. This basement is considered part of Goa Fortress in the game, in the maps. It leads to a single thunder wall, which has one item in it. So the logic wants us to go into Goa Fortress. We're not doing that quite yet, because we're going to quickly discuss Chiron. Chiron Temple has one item which you have to collect before a trigger flag can be triggered in Goa, and that is on Zebu here, in the top left. Just talking to him is enough. When the inventory is full, the item is basically deleted. It's probably a consumable item if he doesn't give it to you. But that leads us logically to Goa Fortress. You want to use barrier to block these statues. I will cover another way to get past them when we have access to it. That triggered a trigger flag here where the people of Chiron call out to you telepathically. That is triggering what we call the Chiron Massacre. What did I not track? I didn't track telepathy. Okay. However, we're not going to cover the Chiron Massacre yet, because technically it's not logic. That was just me saving time. And something a runner would want to do beforehand. Worth noting. Kelbeth's floor is a checkpoint. This is Kelbeth's floor. It is one of the more confusing floors of the dungeon. So to navigate, you go left, past the first set of staircases, past the second set of staircases, to take a left, and then take the first staircase. Go north, follow the path to the first fork, take the right, take the down, go around, and the Kelbeth 2 fight is right here. This fight is actually easier than Kelbeth 1, for the record. Because his attack is a straight line shot, which you can get into some positions. You can get next to him and not take damage. And then stab him, which drops the chest. Nice key to prison. Okay, so key to prison is used to get through that door at the top of Mount Saber North. Before I leave, we're going to... Honestly, I'm going to go follow that, because Portoa is actually a lot of easier checks. So, but... And I would like to actually have swords, and the game only really expects me to get next 3 checks with the settings we're running. So... But Kelbeth 2 is simple. And talking to Zebu behind him will give you heal. I'm going to leave that for later to have access to. So the game wants us to go in, talk Kelbeth, fight Kelbeth, and leave. So Saber North, the return trip, you just follow the path down. Reminder, this room we were in this seed has warlocks, so warlocks are, in my opinion, the second most dangerous enemy in the game. They hit like a train, and it can turn you into a slime. I almost have a level, so we're going to take advantage of the boost. And then follow path. Past the 2 broken walls, go north. Golems are very durable, not worth fighting. And to the checkpoint. This room. To this room, where we can use the key to prison. Where this guy gives you an item, and that is a beautiful item to get. The Warrior Ring. Up till now, we've had to charge sword. The Warrior Ring lets you press the sword button and fire a shot. It is one of my favorite items in the entire game. But that guy will give you an item, I believe is vanilla something. I think it's the... I don't remember what's there. But it takes you to the sledge. Worth noting, logically, the game can expect you to get flight and open this door from the back. But that takes you to Portoa Castle. Like hell am I explaining the Portoa flags for Queen, but it has to do with this fortune teller's hut. In vanilla, you talk to the fortune teller. You talk to the Queen. Wait, when you have the, I just have the sword, she'll give you the item? Cool. I actually didn't know that one. But, talk to the Queen. And talk to the fortune teller to send her away. Because if you talk to the Queen and then try to go back in, this guard will move, and you would have to paralyze. It's triggered, and it's obnoxious. Most of us will just get the item by, and by most, I mean everybody who races this game will learn the statue glitch, because this is its primary early use, is this guard. Because going back here will make the Queen give you her item. The other thing to know about in Portoa is this house. The fisherman's house. The fisherman's gone because he's out looking for his lost item. Vanilla game, and in the seed, the lamp, which is the fog lamp. We are going to talk about Fog Lamp Cave later. Because the next trigger we want to talk about is the rage. There's a rage skip with flight and diagonal entrance, and I don't care. That glitch is something I have not learned. It is not something a beginner should learn. It is advanced tech. If we want to learn about it, if you want to talk, we'll learn about it. I believe Magic has made some videos on the Crystalis YouTube. But Rage is looking for a sword. In this case, the Sword of Water, because this is vanilla settings. He'll give you an item. He's also guarding a cryotube, which is Messiah's cryotube with the answering machine. Commonly referred to as the answering machine. Talking to this cryotube is a trigger. The trigger is important in Portoa. However, because this is now the best time to do a cave, we will talk about Crystalis Cave. So, a lot of people will leave a save out here. If they're even checking it. A lot of people just won't. But where I'm covering every check in the game, I'm going to talk about now. Crystalis Cave is vanilla locked by a wind wall. I don't want to be poisoned through here where I'm talking everything. You can see why I like this, why I'm a big fan of the Sword of the Warrior Ring. But Crest Plant, you go through there, you take the right. There's a first item, which is down this right path. Behind a wall. That has the change spell. And then going south from that fork takes you to this wall, which leads to another floor. Hello, beautifuls. Medusas are one of the easiest high XP yields in the game. They're vanilla weak to two swords. Vanilla is water and thunder. They have a docile AI, so they're not going to actively chase you out. They're slow moving, so it's easy to keep them stunned. And for their, regardless of difficulty level, they give you high values. So worth noting, the reason people leave a save is because of this. The Crystalis Plant Meadow is a save point. So resetting out of it is not really viable. I am getting enough items. I want to keep that. And the best thing to do from there is warp Portoa. This thing's actually a decent price. Those Medusas gave us some decent money. The answering machine causes the queen to not be here, and you can get through. Because, as it turns out, the guard was instructed to show us the underground channel, which is here. Worth noting, vanilla players will think to go through here. But the randomizer added this little land bridge connection to go through. And that takes you to Athena. Athena gives you an item, and she also talks about an item where when you eliminate the whirlpools in the Angry Sea to give you an item, I want that item. But that is, she gives you a hint as to what is behind the statue of gold. You always want to have medical herb going back here because of this dolphin. Worth noting, if you have warp boots, you can actually warp away from that check. I'm going to take with change. We're going to show something I was talking about earlier, real quick. The two ways to get past this guard without the statue glitch are paralysis to paralyze the guard before they move, or turn into a girl using the change spell, which lets you go in. You can talk to her just fine. And this guard, will if you are in change, will tell you what item she's looking for. Worth doing. The change spell also gave us access to a check in Sahara. And that is this rabbit. Steve the rabbit, apparently. This is Dio. The randos named him Steve. I'm pretty sure there's like 6 different NPCs who can get named Steve because the creator of this hack of the Crystalis Randomizer is Steve Hacks. Turning into Stom gives you an item when you talk to that rabbit because Stom is his friend. Alright. We have 2 more caves in Portoa. Worth noting, we got the Orb of Fire, which gives us this fantastic spell. This fantastic sword charge. Try to demonstrate on the next Fire Week enemy I see. Medusas are not Fire Week enemies. The bird is also a Fire Week enemy. I'm not going to use on bird because it's too fast moving. This is Waterfall Cave. And that is a Fire Week enemy. Is a stream of fire that does multiple hits and as they get knocked back. Waterfall Cave has one item you can get without this Flute of Lime in Glitchless Logic, which is right here. And I'm not going to demonstrate the rest until I have Flute of Lime, because that's the logical expectation. So we're going to go to Fog Lamp Cave. This is the worst cave in the game, in my opinion. A lot of people are going to skip this cave, because it's long and slow. I do not have that luxury when it is teaching time. There's a check here, at the top of the cave. After getting that check, you go through this right path that you passed earlier and go down the stairs. There's also an enemy room, a small room there, which leads you to this fork. Take the north. There are paralyzing enemies in here. Gross. Take the north for an item. Dodge all the paralysis bolts because you do not want to get paralyzed in this dungeon. The shell flute, okay. That's important. After getting the second item, go south, walk to the stairs to the east. Take a west to take this stairway. Break this wall. Take the south. To break these two walls, go under this bridge, and take this stairway. To take this stairway, take this wall out, and take this stairway. I'm going to try to shot just in case there's paralyzing enemies here, because this is the last wall of the run. To get a check here, we're going to warp out. So that last check is the Fog Lamp. That is Fog Lamp Cave. The first three checks are not too bad. The last one is terrible. Logic wants us to do something. Logic wants us to push back into Goa. Let's do it. I have been trying to... Wait. Barrier, change. Logic actually wants us to fight. No, it doesn't, because we have a level 1 sword. So, these settings expect you to have the level 3 sword. Worth noting, with the Shadow Massacre triggered, everyone's dead. Akahan and Stom are taking a nap. We're not going to talk to them, we don't want to interrupt the nap. So, Logic expects you to have the level 3 sword, and the Motto fight is awful. So, another glitch that we have on in tournaments a lot is Sword Charge Glitch. So, equip a level 3 sword. In the menu, switch to the sword you want to use, open a save menu, and reload the save. Congratulations, I have a level 3 Sword of Water. Sword Charge Glitch is not in Logic. I'm just using it to improve things. The game wants us to go into, say, Barrow's Floor of Goa. I'm not doing that. We're going to fight with Motto 1 because we have the level 3 sword, obviously. But I'm mostly doing this because I want to cover more information. Sticks. I'm not covering Stixie out of Logic, though. Goa. However, killing Motto 1 is the randomizer trigger for Brokahana, so turn to Brokahana on the far right and talk to this guy. Wow. Okay, the flight spell. So, logically, I now know that there is access to 2 more water upgrades and a fire upgrade. The flight spell. First off, except for this most recent turn, we tend to have a statue gauntlet skip enabled, which lets you fly around like so. Flight makes navigating these floors significantly better. So, once again, Cabest's floor. Pass the first two sets of staircases. Take the left. Take the first staircase in the third pair. Run away from paralyzing dust. Follow the path from earlier that we took to get to Calvesk 2. One thing worth noting about this room. We can save. So, in a randomized floor order, you could use this to sword charge glitch for a boss on either side of this floor. Alright. I'm going to pick these up in the order you would without flight, but I am going to fly. So you would follow, without flight, you would follow the outskirt of this path to come to this wall up here. Vanilla is a thunder wall. All iron walls in this dungeon are thunder walls in vanilla. And as such are thunder walls in this seed. With that being an item, I would actually advise a saver. Worth noting, every boss room is a checkpoint. So in vanilla routing, you would go this way. Without flight, you would follow this trail around here. Obviously, I'm going to use flight to dodge things as I want. But you follow the bottom path, turn this bridge into ice, and there's a chest down here. And that leads... And then you follow the path, there's a ice bridge up here. And you would follow the path to this ice bridge. Which takes you to the last check that we actually have in here in Logic, which I'm going to guess is Flame Bracelet. Nope, it's an opal statue, so some things in Logic I'm forgetting about. So without flight... What am I forgetting about in Logic? I don't know. I don't know what I've forgotten in Logic. But we'll just proceed like we can kill Cybero in Logic. But you would follow the path, that bottom path, to this ice bridge, which lets you break this iron wall. What did I forget in Logic, actually? Map tracker. The flag setting I have is, Sorry, I'm actually trying to figure out what I've forgotten in Logic. Spoiler log is on, V, that doesn't have any. Those, ES. Okay. None of those are on in Logic. RO. Sorry, I am just trying desperately to figure out what I've forgotten in logic. Vanilla... Oh, I don't have Vanilla Dolphin on. Right. Got it. Okay. The shell flute that we picked up in Fog Lamp Cave. Honestly, let's follow logic then. So, the shell flute. Let's actually do this slightly different. Let me grab another warp point. That would be the warp point for Swan. To get through Swan Gate, you turn into a guard. Why am I moonwalking? Swan. We'll talk about this one when we have the paralysis and such. We'll talk about that stuff there. Okay. So, I am so used to playing with the Vanilla Dolphin interaction, I forgot it was not on in the seed. So, Vanilla Dolphin, I will explain a little later, but part of Vanilla Dolphin is doing the answer machine and healing the sick dolphin. The other parts include the Fisherman Quest and which takes you to the beach house. So, the dolphin gets us access to Joel, which is right here, which is where we can finally make use of those eyeglasses we picked up, because there is a house here. This shed has a secret door with the eyeglasses, which takes you to this cave, which takes you to the lighthouse, where Kensu is taking a nap. Play the alarm flute, and he gives you a check, which we are obligated to pick up. The Fruit of Lime. The Fruit of Lime heals petrification. The aspect that wears off on its own. The community will often drop it and stomp on it. But that is the Sleeping Ketsu check. The shell flute also gives us access to the beach house, which I believe Kensu's not there until... Yep, Kensu is not there until after we turn in the Fog Lamp. Gets us access to an item in this cave, which is the Portoa waterway we were in with the Queen earlier. Recover is a great spell. It heals stat effects that are not the slime stat effect. So all paralysis are not a problem. It gives us access to this island up here, which is the Statue of Gold turn-in. I don't have it, so I'm not going to land there. And it gets us access to Evil Spirit Island. These jellyfish are actually solid experience. I'm going to take a moment to grind up to level 9 on them. Evil Spirit Island. I'm going to go through it like I don't have flight, but I'm going to use flight to skip ice bridges. So, vanilla, with flight, you want to create that ice bridge. To get to this ice bridge. And then from here out, it's walls. You have a wind wall up here. Evil Spirit Vanilla wall is wind. The Statue of Gold, I'm going to make use of that in a minute. So the Statue of Gold removes the whirlpools. The whirlpools blocks the speed boots. I want them. But that wall that we just took takes you to the second floor. Butterflies. Butterflies. I hate butterflies. Butterflies are the most dangerous enemy in the game. They hit extremely hard. And they can paralyze you. That's a mimic. For the record, there is a ice bridge down here. But there are 2 checks through that left path we just took. I'm talking a little less in this room because butterflies. Butterflies. I hate butterflies. But to get there, you take this stairway. From that stairway, you go around and take the first down. To get to the exit of Evil Spirit Island, you go all the way right, take the up, and then go right and take the first down and cross this pit, riding the elevator. Notice there are butterflies that fly erratically in this room with an elevator. It's awful. And there's a chest on the exit path. Dio's pendant restores MP as you wear it. Anyways, Zombie Town in vanilla is not a teleport point. This is not vanilla. In the rando, Zombie Town is a warp point. I am trying to avoid going back to places as I can, but Statue of Gold, go up to the bricks, use Statue of Gold, and turn it in. And Athena will telepathically give you an item. This is the speed boots. Here's why I want the speed boots. Without speed boots. With speed boots. Worth noting, in here is Clark. Clark wants you to fight Cybera. We also want to fight Cybera. Cybera's Fortress. I like to take first left and go all the way up, but these are warlocks. I'm going to shut up and dodge. And I want Flight Spell because, well, I don't logically have it. I have it, and I'm going to use it to avoid these elevator platforms. This item, that might logically be important. But there's an item up there. And then there's Vampire 2, who in vanilla, I believe, is immune to fire. Let me confirm that. Yep, okay, so this means he will be immune to one element. Vampire, you want to really just run up and stab him with your strongest sword. He's really simple. And in this case, he gets dropped us the Flame Bracelet. Siberia floor, second floor. There is an item over here. Worth noting, bridges, those floating platforms can collapse on you. And you'll fall down the pit. I'm actually trying to get on the platform to show its collapse. I'm actually close enough to a level. I'm going to fight these Wyvern Mages. So, I want to show the bridge collapse. The bridge can collapse, which makes it so you cannot ride it again, which if it collapses on the other side, you would have to drop down the pit or have flight. Again, this room is a checkpoint. And this is Cybera's room. I'm going to re-equip the Warrior Ring. With this, to start the Cybera fight, you've attacked Messia, who is actually Cybera in disguise. Attack her from the north to get a bunch of stabs in. And if you don't have Warrior Ring, you want to use... The game expecting you to use the Sword of Three The Sword of Fire 3rd level attack. And that finally gives us the Blizzard Bracelet. Remember your speed boots. The Blizzard Bracelet lets us fight Motto in Logic. And Being Severe lets us talk to Clark here, who gave us the Ivory statue. Going to pop a magic ring to have more MP and teleport to Goa. The game wants us, gave us the flight. We now logically have flight. So, logically, the game wants us to go into Goa. From either direction, I'm going to go... It wants to go in from either direction, so I'm going to go in the back door. The game wants to do a lot of things, actually. I'm going to do Goa because it is the most item dense. I'm also going to pick up the battle armor chest, which is over here. So if you're doing a return trip for the battle armor chest, I typically go this way. It might be slightly slower, but as Just Chris said in a restream recently, the best way through Oasis Cave is the one that doesn't get you lost. Battle armor is I am so glad I did that. Wow. But the battle armor chest is just on the other side of the ice bridge from going to the powering spot. To enter the back way, you go over here and cross this pile of goop. And that takes you to the other side of Goa, where you have logical access flight. This is the way I would do it. The first thing you're going to find from this side of Goa is Slime Kensu, who needs the Ivory statue we just got from Clark in the seed. This is Vanilla Flight, and he gives you the Refresh spell. And then there are Welcome to Carmine's item shop. There are 5 checks, and Carmine down here. 5 checks. Yes, please. Thank you. Psycho Armor is the best armor in the game. It gives you a regen effect. But there are 5 checks. 3 on the bottom. And 2 on the top, being the right and middle spots. I want that. Thanks. But that is 5 items, are those 5 across the thing. And then there's this stairway, which is another statue gauntlet, but this is a checkpoint room. And in this case, Carmine is weak to Sword of Thunder. I am fairly certain. So I believe that the game does not expect you to fight Okay, so Carmine is the exception to the requiring level 3 rule. Carmine logically expects the level 2 Sword of Thunder. I'm paralyzed. How long have I been paralyzed? But Carmine expects the level 2 Sword of Thunder, that's because he guards the Storm Bracelet in Vanilla. I'm going to do a level 1 to show you guys the script a little bit. So, Carmine has a scripted movement. He starts here. He moves back to the center. Moves to the top left. Does this bottom movement. Then goes back to the top left. Goes to the left-right side. Twice. Goes to the middle. Goes slightly to the middle. goes to top left, and then does all again. So top, top, top left, right, right, top, and repeat. Alright, we are going to actually fight this fight seriously now that I'm not explaining the script. Seven with the warrior ring, with the power ring. I'm just going to warrior ring. But the to the right gives you a lot of opportunities to hit him. Barrier makes him a very trivial fight. And he will drop you a chest. And he's also guarding a chest. I will take Magic Ring because I have Refresh. And that is Carmine's floor. Now for the fun part, you have Carmine's floor. The leaving Carmine's floor, or entering it from the other side. From the back is what we're covering, though. Again, iron walls are thunder. So, my preferred path, which I believe is the short path, is to go to the left after the iron wall and cross this set of bridges. Take the left staircase, which takes you here. There's the warlocks. And that takes you to Motto's floor, which is a checkpoint, so you can actually reset any stat effects you might have. Motto 2. This fight is terrible. And I'm just going to show you why. Motto 2. The Pinball Wizard. General Ninja Cannonball. He moves around this arena at the speed of light and shoots projectiles at you. So, the way you fight Motto 2, ideally, is with the Blizzard Bracelet. You saw how much damage I did. For show, we're going to fight him with the Warrior Ring to show how to handle this fight a bit without the Blizzard Bracelet. Without the Warrior Ring and without the Blizzard Bracelet, my honest opinion is only do this if you have to. So, wait for him to pick a spot to start and shoot some shots at him. We'll take Refresh. As he has less health, he bounces around less. I honestly don't want to fight him. We're going to just fight him with the Power Ring. But you look for openings and shoot him with the Warrior Ring with shots to weaken him. At this scaling, I really just want to use Power Bracelet, so I'm going to just use Power Bracelet. This fight is miserable. So, do not be afraid, just use the Power Bracelet. If you have access to it from in a random floor, see if you have access to getting to it first or getting to it from Zebu's room. You want sword, use a sword charge glitch to give yourself a thing. This is the hell way, we're going to cover it from the other side. Motto's floor has 5 items. One of them is right here, which is at the north side of the room. One of them is up the stairs on the right side, which is this item in the Hellway. We call this the Hellway because of the fact that when there are butterflies and mimics, butterflies and shadows and warlocks, it's miserable. And you have to cross these platforms to get to Motto. Just check here at the bottom of the right side spike pit. If I'm coming from back, I will often set up a checkpoint after that check. Because Sabera's floor is right there. For the other two items, they're on the left side up the stairs. There's a stair run that says spike pit. One of them leads you to the bottom side of the room, which has the iron wall. And the other is up here, and I want that. So, and then out the bottom here is Sabera, or the exit to the floor to the next one, whichever one would be. Again, I'm playing vanilla, so it's the vanilla order of bosses. Sabera is weak to fire. I'm going to quickly demonstrate one of the reasons why Sabera 2 is a hard fight. 37 scaling. Sabera 2 is a long fight, because a level 3 shot just did 8 damage. So, honestly, the best way to deal with is Flame Bracelet. Is that a vanilla fruit of her pun? Alright, and that is the end of Goa for us. So we want to do some of these other checks. What do I have in excess of trade ins real quick? I have Fog Lamp. So let's do Fog Lamp's turn in real quick. Fog Lamp goes to this gentleman over here. The Fisherman. You give him Fog Lamp, and he lets you check the boat. I'm going to do a funny meme. Steve Hacks has Akahana riding a boat for his profile, so sometimes we like to make his profile picture on Discord. But you ride the boat. It takes to the beach house where Kensu is falling asleep here, and in Vanilla Dolphin, this does not give an item. This lets you activate the dolphin. Use the shell flute. We are obligated to pick. I'm just going to reset that. So Vanilla Dolphin lets you pick that up. The next thing we're going to do is Stixie. Alright. Stixie. First, let's go get the Bow of Sunspot. Because I need to make sure it's not a key item there. Because my goal is to explain every key item sequence. Also, I still need a Bow of Truth. We are not in Go mode yet. We need Bow of Truth. I should be doing Pyramid right now. This is a mistake. But I want to explain Pyramid at the end. So, this, again, the fastest way to the top is to take the left, take the right. Is take the left staircase, take the right staircase, and follow the path at the end of the staircase. So, we're quickly just going to go grab the item. Why am I not wearing my speed boots? Mummies can petrify you. This check is locked by flight. This is a vanilla bow of sun check, and it gives us the windmill key. I'm actually going to do what I said I should have done from the beginning. So, one thing to keep in mind is when you're playing Crystalis, one of the things you want to do is always do the checks that you have to do who anyways. Which is why we're going to go to the pyramid. The pyramid is locked by flight. The pyramid is actually really simple to navigate. You go up, you take either of these staircases. They take you to the top of the room. The pyramid is set up in a grid of staircases. It's miserable. It is a 3x3 grid, I believe. So, however, there's a fast way to remember it when you're not playing map shuffle. That is a category for something else. But the fast way to do it is you go across the first row, take the second north exit, which gives you a check here. Go back out, go down 2 rows, and go right and take the first exit. It takes you to Dragon 1. Dragon 1. This fight is the easiest boss fight. Let me demonstrate the script real quick. You let him dash forward. I'm going to not burn an opal there like a thumb. So, you let him dash forward. Follow him up to dodge the lightning. He is infinitely loopable in this script. So I'm going to demonstrate the fight now. He has no iframes in the middle. So you can easily destroy him with it. Medical herb. We've also found 2 of those. So, we also have... I'm going to demonstrate the crypt real quick, because we have access to 2 items here. So, the crypt is up here. Oftentimes we won't be going in here until the end game, but where there's 2 item checks in here, I will pick them up in case either of them is a key item to explain other checks in the game. With the bows, you use the bow of sun and the bow of moon to destroy the statues. To get the items, to navigate the crypt, you go right all the way to the end. There's a spike pit. There's an item down the left pit. Hello, beautiful. Psycho Shield is the best shield in the game. It has the best defense value, and it blocks Petrify and Paralysis. Worth knowing, we got the battle armor earlier as well. It has a higher defense value than the Psycho armor, and it gives you a poison resist, but doesn't have the HP regen effect of Psycho armor. I personally feel as personal preference between I prefer Psycho armor, just because I think it's cooler. The other item is to the right off the north side. Okay, there was nothing here. Worth knowing, I will quickly demonstrate how to get to Dragon. So from this point where you got the item, you take the left. Go all the way down to the bottom of the spike pit. Cross the 2 floating platforms. And Dragon is up here. We don't have the Bow of Truth. We cannot kill him. So. We got the windmill key. So that will be our next destination. The windmill key goes to the windmill cave north. The windmill key, the windmill cave, and the sticks here are our two biggest item densities left. We're going to do both of them here shortly, but we're going to start with windmill key because I want to. With the windmill key, you go in here, and it's remote. You don't need to walk up to anything. It's a remote start. You can just walk in with the key, walk out, and trigger the explosion. I personally wild warp back out because I think it's faster than walking back through a cave. I've not timed anything out. I'm not. But the important thing is you need to go up to the front of that cave for an item. And I will demonstrate from... So, I will demonstrate from the front, even though it is faster to go from the back. Because oftentimes you'll have to go through from the front without a sword to get the first 3. So, you follow the path all the way through. Which takes you to this room. There's a wall up here. There's an item in this room. There's also a Medusa in this room, so, thanks. There's an item in there. And down these stairs, there are 3 items, 2 of which are accessible without a sword. One of the accessibles is right here. And one of them is down here. And behind a wall up here is an item here. Glowing lamp. That's half of an item. So glowing lamp combines with broken statue we haven't found to make an item. As you pick up those items, there is, through the wall that we broke here, to the left there is 1 item. Fine, I'll burn the opal. I'm playing recklessly because of at the end of the game. But yeah, the Orb of Thunder, which finally puts Karma into logic, by the way. And then we have a fight with the vampire here, who is not resistant to an element this time. Again, the best thing to do is just stab him. And he gave us Broken Statue, which I will combine with the Glowing Lamp. Use the lamp on the statue to get a Thunder upgrade. And the wall takes us to this exit of Brynmire Cave. It is faster, for the record, to go backwards. I want to demonstrate forward so you knew the way through if you didn't have a sword. Real quick, we're going to go grab one more item. Speed Boots and Flight give us access to an item, as well as Rabbit Boots if we found them. But there, we can actually get that item from Mount Saber West. But there is one item down here. And that item is up this slope. Speed Boots give you just enough speed. Or, I'm going to use Flight, use this, one, two. Flight and Rabbit Boots let you go, you can just fly up slope, or you can use Rabbit Boots to jump up. Ow. And that takes you to this room, which leads to the Vanilla Tornado Bracelet spot. I'm going to use Warrior Ring just to make this a safer clear. And that is the Tornado Race spot. Let's see. Let's do Chiron. Because we can get the... Now we're doing Stixie. So, to get to Stixie, the best thing, in my opinion, is warping to Chiron, navigating through the cave, follow a straight path until you reach the fork at the end of the path, because there's a fork here. Take the left fork until you reach the door. This is Stixie. And you're expected to use Barrier, which I'm going to use because I don't feel like doing the fly around statue thing. You fly around the left statue. I will demonstrate on this statue. When the glitch is enabled, you can use Flight to go around the statue. Alright, Stixie has two things. I will demonstrate the left side as if I don't have Flight. This side is locked by Flight. So there are 3 items in here, all locked by Flight. The Flute of Lime, excellent. They're all on the other side of the river. Statue of Onyx is a trade-in, and okay, so we got 2 trade-ins and the Flute of Lime. The other items are on the left side. You can see a chest here, which I can pick up, but I will demonstrate pick it up in order as if you didn't have Flight. So to navigate this place without Flight, walk around the outer path here. There's a chest up here. Continue walking around. There's an ice bridge here. There's an ice bridge here. Follow the path back around, where there's a chest down here. Community will often refer to this as the Axeman chest because the Axeman left it in a race. And then lastly, there is an item here. 4 mimics and 2 trade-ins. What a good Stixie. For the record, if you have Flight, the fastest way to do it is... I'll make a quick demonstration. So, from the entrance, if you have Flight, you jump over, you check the Axeman chest. You go up the stairs. You pick up the... I burned another opal, stupidly. You pick up that chest, the Sword of Thunder chest. And you pick up this... drop down to this chest. Statue of Onyx goes to Akahana, who is right here. We picked up the Flute of Lime, which is used in the waterfall cave near Portoa. So, the Flute of Lime is used on the other side. I picked up the item, again, as a quick reminder, there is an item behind a wall up here. And then to proceed through the dungeon, there is an item here. This is why we call it the statue glitch, is we can get past these 2 statues. But you play this Flute of Lime, turn back to people, they tell you you're saved, and then they will tell you an item that is in... They will tell you the most valuable item in the other 2 caves, Carissa and Foglamp. There is an explanation I can go find real fast. It's here somewhere. Is it help me? Okay. Real fast. Let me. Don't pay too much attention to my, lazy cropping. This is how the hints works. It will pick the highest tiered item. Bows, magic and swords, unique items, and then some treasure. And then if there's a tie in the items, it will pick the furthest one. The fog lamp spot, the Crysta meadow, the Crysta chest, and then the lamp cave backwards to forwards. So, this image is made by Cross Product. Thank you, Cross Product, for the visual explanation of this hint. And that takes you to this back room. Hi, Bert. That enemy is Bert. He is an important part of the grind in the vanilla speedrun. People decide he needed a name. I believe it was Uranium Anchor who ended up naming him. So, you can go left or right. It is personal preference which one you do. Left has 2 checks when you have the Flue of Lime. Right only has 1. However, as somebody who's interested in the speedrun, I tend to go to the right. And there's 1 chest here behind a wall. This is the vanilla Sword of Water chest. It has a love pendant in this seat. On the other side of the river, there's a chest there. That's our go mode for the record. And there is Rakahana up here, where you play the Flute of Lime. And he gives us the Carissa plant. Alright, so we're going to teleport out. We only have a couple checks left. The Carissa plant goes to the Amazon Queen. I will demonstrate the paralysis stun on this guard. I told you earlier, you can paralyze the guard to go in. To turn the item in, actually, I'm going to quickly note, the Carissa plant, or whatever randomized trade-in, turns into the Carissa plant, hence trade-in, lets you stab the sword. If I, for example, use the love pendant, it doesn't let me stab because there's an interruption. You turn to a girl, turn in the item, and she gives you an item. The vanilla bow of moon check. And lastly, Swan has the last of the checks we need to care about here. You talk to Stom in his shed. You walk into the Swan pub. This is identifiable by a bunch of guards. You paralyze the guard in the bottom left, which is actually Kensu in disguise, and then you go to the dance hall where there's all these people. He's in the bottom left again, and he will give you the change spell if you give him the love pendant. And he gives us our rabbit boots, which, for the record, are a favorite item of mine, because they let you jump and charge while moving in the random. So, lastly, we just have to do our end game. I'm going to quickly swipe a magic ring. Yeah, so the ideal is having 3 opal statues and 5 magic rings. I've burned 2 opals in the dumbest ways I can. So... endgame is in the crypt. To get to your endgame quickly, you go to the crypt, navigate the crypt. Oftentimes you'll have to do the bow scene we did earlier, but we came here for checks. Go back to the right. Get absolutely pasted by enemies on your way. Across the spike pit. Butterflies hurt like an absolute truck. Forget to press the A button. Oops. That one's on me. Dragon 2's Arena is also a checkpoint. I personally use Barrier. You want Barrier, the Power Ring. Which sword do I have equipped? The Sword of Fire. I like Sword of Fire. I believe in the Rando, Vanilla you have to use Sword of Thunder. In Rando, we like Sword of Fire. It's faster and doesn't cause lag. And the way we handle this is you shoot both Truth in the fight. I bumped into Wing because it helps set up the RNG. The popcorn attack, if he moves... So worth noting, if he moves down to fire the Nooper Beam, then next thing he does afterward is move back up and fire lasers. You want to fire a level 3 shot at him during the laser phase to do damage. Alright, and lastly, the tower. I will demonstrate two different methods of fighting enemies in tower. First, we're going to demonstrate... You know what? First, we're going to demonstrate... Tornado Bracelet strats. Which is push the enemies with Tornado Bracelet. I will demonstrate this entire floor using Tornado Bracelet strats. Helicopters are the worst. The benefit of Tornado Bracelet is Tornado Bracelet attacks are cheap. It's a little slower, but it's also relatively safe. Right, I'm switching to... I'm going to demonstrate the vanilla as well real quick. Sword of Thunder. Does this. I apologize for flashing. Alright. Now the fast way. This is why we like having magic rings. So the way we often do it is Sword of Fire explosions. This guy often likes to go to the right, so we can often drag him over here to this guy, but usually we don't with the helicopter. But you can often pin them into the door and kill them in one explosion. I have the powering on, right? Okay, good. So the first and third floors have two doors with 3 white robots in them after killing the 3 golds. The second floor has 3 doors with 2 robots in them. This guy will often go to the right, so to group up with this gentleman. which is nice of him. And then lastly, you have 2 doors. One of them... That was a misfire on my part. Tower can go very wrong very fast. I would like to kill this guy before he kills me. As you can see, tower went very wrong very fast. This guy's actually going to the right, so we're going to group him with the other. Alright. These guys did not want to play nicely with others. This is a miserable tower, by the way. I might reset and demonstrate tower done better. So that is how you handle tower. Let me do it better, just because my pride is now injured. So, Gold Robot. Gold Robot. Conveniently grabbing, staying in the helicopter along the way. Gold Robot. White robots. Stairway. I'm going to do this without losing control of the robots like I did above. Alright, and lastly, the third door of robots. This guy's actually moving to the... Can I keep this guy moving? No. Fire stress are my preferred. That was a very risky stab, but I had my fire 2 went down, so I had to improvise. I'm gonna pop a magic ring, and there is a door here for Crystalis. When you're going up to Dyna, real quick, let's arm barrier. You want to go up the right side to avoid exactly this text box. So, There's a safe spot here in the center with barrier. You can kill the defense pods, which is actually a recommended thing to do if you don't have barrier. Which I will do now. So yeah, if you don't kill defense pods, which you don't have to in normal, and I believe the timeout is either on the fade into black or on the stab into the reactor. I have actually got to ask which. Magic will confirm with me later. But that is every check in Crystalis. If you don't kill defense pods, you won't kill barrier because you can and will die post Dinah's death. That is the end of the run. That is the Crystalis Randomizer. Big thanks to Steve Hacks, Code Gorilla, Matrick, J-Roboy, the devs who in charge of this. Hopefully this helps people learn. I'll be putting this up somewhere where it can be seen post-stream. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will let it get to the end screen. We did everything in Crystalis. Every check, every trigger that I know of. Demonstrate a few of our more important glitches that we use. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Thank you to my chat who was visiting with me for a bit while I wasn't responding to them. I thank you for your hanging out. So, and coming up very shortly is one of the most important things in the credits, and that is the special thanks to I think it's next page. But special thanks to nope, next page. The special thanks to Jeff Peters. And that gives us the endgame screen. The tower goes down. The end, and it gives us this this tracking of when we did everything. When we found our major important things, swords to bows, and fought all the bosses. So, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.